5,000 likes to this video, we will upload more patriotic news. Thank you. If you're a man, prepare to pay this special tax at certain businesses. Here's 6 reason why. The left is at it again, and this time it is the feminists that are leading the charge of virtue signaling. Over the last several of years, we have heard these third-wave feminists scream that they are oppressed, white males are ruining their lives, and of course, the mythical gender pay gap. These women believe that men are paid more than women, and that is an injustice that needs to be rectified. So, one restaurant that island run by a group of angry male-hating women has come up with a way to teach men about their privilege, and it is sick. The left is always finding new ways to impose their insane ideas on others, and sometimes it is hard to tell when they are serious or not. Feminists especially are always banging the drum of oppression and privilege in their misguided effort to destroy white males. These hairy-legged women are always shouting about racism, sexism, and they are triggered about everything. Which is why one group of angry ladies have decided to tax men more in their establishment to protest the gender pay gap. Reactions GIF, find and share on Jiffy. A cafe owner in Australia has implemented a man tax and allows women to have priority seating over men. The owner of the cafe believes that women have been discriminated against, and the only way to fix that is to discriminate against men. Insane, right? Alex's cafe charges men more because of the mythical gender pay gap. Here is more from Mirror. A cafe owner has explained why she charges men more than women and allows ladies priority seating. Alex O'Brien, who owns Handsome Her, a vegan cafe in Melbourne, Australia, says she gives female customers a better deal to raise awareness of the gender pay gap. It's been dubbed the man tax. Alex says her restaurant is for women, by women. Though men are very welcome, and, significantly, the surcharge isn't compulsory. It's in operation for 1 week per month. Alex says that so far, no male customers have failed to cough up the additional charge, which works out as an 18% markup. She wants to start a conversation over the issue of gender equality in the workplace. Dare we mention the BBC? If men don't want to pay it, we're not going to kick them out the door. It's just an opportunity to do some good, says Alex. Patrons of the vegan cafe, which doesn't use disposable coffee cups and serves a 100% plant-based menu, appear supportive of the idea. One customer told 7 News in Melbourne, "I think it's fair if you think about the world and the gender inequality that we have." Another said, "I think it's a brilliant idea because I don't think many people actually know the actual gap." Alex describes herself as a feminist, not the fun kind, and added, "We're bringing it, the gender pay gap, to the forefront of people's minds. I like that it is making men stop and question their privilege a little bit." One of my friends who works for a not-for-profit women's service was talking about the pay gap, and I thought it was a good idea, so we decided that 1 week every month we would charge men an 18% premium, which we will donate. All proceeds taken from the premium go to women's charities. Alex plans to rotate them 4 times a year. In August, the earnings will go to an organization called Elizabeth Morgan House, which helps Aboriginal women and children. Of course, there are plenty of women that are on board with this, but there are many that are opposed to it as well. The reason that Alex chose this 18% hike in tax for men is to reflect the gap in Australia in 2016. Now, while there may have been a pay gap, it does not appear that it only was towards men. The Economist reported that recent data shows a UK pay gap of 28.6% for all jobs, shrinking to only 0.8% for jobs at the same level, company and function. No matter what you say to these women, though, they will always believe the rhetoric they were fed. Now, while this may be occurring in Australia, do not think for 1 minute it cannot happen over here. The Angry Lady Brigade is often yelling about how they are oppressed by the cis white male and patriarchy on a daily basis. It would not be a surprise if these sorts of laws would be proposed, or feminist eateries will begin to do the same as this one. The fact of the matter is that these women do not get it at all. In their effort to protest mythical discrimination, they, in fact, are discriminating. I wonder how the Australian government will view this, as a business cannot discriminate against another person based on their sex. Oh, They must not think it applies when they are virtue signaling. And, this is why cannot have nice things. Share if you are sick of feminists and their insane protests. Daily Mail. Democrat Senator insults Trump, immediately regrets decision. President Trump uses his 17-day vacation currently, but the war between him and the lies coming from the liberal mainstream media does not stop. Conservative Tribune reported that Trump slammed Democrat Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal on Monday after he incompetently suggested on CNN that the president's administration has weaponized the investigations into the leaks of classified information against the Trump White House. Blumenthal suggested to CNN's Brianna Keilar that the Trump administration's determination to identify officials leaking classified information to the media wasn't smart given it politicized the Justice Department. The Hillary Clinton supporter also suggested that Special Counselor Robert Mueller may be onto crimes committed during the 2016 presidential election given his decision to impanel a grand jury last week. Impaneling the grand jury shows that Bob Mueller is pursuing this potential wrongdoing by the Russians, the attack on our democracy, seriously and diligently, and there is no minimizing or underestimating that attack by the Russians, Blumenthal said. It was purposeful and relentless, and it involved propaganda and hacking into our voting machines, or at least an attempt to do it, and potential collusion by the Trump campaign and then obstruction of justice. That investigation must be pursued. Using his social media prowess to fight back against Blumenthal's insults, Trump reminded his millions of followers that the Clinton supporter lied about serving in the Vietnam War. Interesting to watch Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut talking about hoax Russian collusion when he was a phony Vietnam con artist. Trump wrote. Interesting to watch Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut talking about hoax Russian collusion when he was a phony Vietnam con artist. Never in U.S. history has anyone lied or defrauded voters like Senator Richard Blumenthal. He told stories about his Vietnam battles and conquests, how brave he was, and it was all a lie. He cried like a baby and begged for forgiveness like a child. Now he judges collusion? Trump said in 2 additional tweets. What do you think of this? Share your opinion. A new massive link between George Soros and John McCain exposed. According to recent reports from the Daily Caller, the McCain Institute for International Leadership received a kind-hearted donation from the notorious billionaire George Soros. The institute is intended to serve as a legacy for old McCain as it dedicated to advancing human rights, democracy, and freedom. It is also known as a tax-exempt nonprofit foundation with assets worth somewhere around $8.1 million and associated with Arizona State University. The Daily Caller goes even further. Critics worry that the Institute's donors and McCain's personal leadership in the organization's exclusive Sedona Forum bear an uncanny resemblance to the glitzy Clinton Global Initiative, CGI, that annually commingled special interests and powerful political players in alleged pay-to-play schemes. The Institute has accepted contributions of as much as $100,000 from billionaire liberal activist funder George Soros and from Teneo, a for-profit company co-founded by Doug Band, former President Bill Clinton's bagman. Teneo has long helped enrich Clinton through lucrative speaking and business deals. And Bloomberg reported in 2016 on a $1 million Saudi Arabian donation to the Institute, a contribution the McCain Group has refused to explain publicly. In addition, the Institute has taken at least $100,000 from a Moroccan state-run company tied to repeated charges of worker abuse and exploitation. The McCain Group has also accepted at least $100,000 from the Pivotal Foundation. It was created by Francis Najafi, who owns the Pivotal Group, a private equity and real estate firm. Sarah Palin has upped the ante in her defamation lawsuit, gotten it freaking out. The New York Times picked the wrong woman to mess with. Sarah Palin is not taking any prisoner in the fight with the famous media network. The team of lawyers of Palin is considering to subpoena 23 NID staffers in the defamation lawsuit and has called for every internal communication it has had about the former vice presidential candidate since 2011. as an armed man shot at Steve Scalise and other Republican legislators. The New York Times posted a report which accused Sarah Palin of being a mastermind behind a similar attack on Representative Gabby Giffords back in 2011. In one part of the editorial, it was written, "At the time of the attack on Giffords, we and others were sharply critical of the heated political rhetoric on the right." Before the shooting, Sarah Palin's Political Action Committee circulated a map that showed the targeted electoral districts of Ms. Giffords and 19 other Democrats under stylized crosshairs. The Times faced backlash for the totally false claim, and printed a retraction saying, "An editorial on Thursday about the shooting of Representative Steve Scalise incorrectly stated that a link existed between political rhetoric and the 2011 shooting of Representative Gabby Giffords. In fact, no such link was established." Despite that, NIT decided not to remove the editorial in question. After that, Palin decided to file a defamation lawsuit. Now, she is searching for data from the network which may reveal, among other things, their negative feelings toward her. The Times has admitted it made an honest mistake and is requesting from the court to throw out the lawsuit. Palin's legal team is the same one that Hulk Hogan used during his successful defamation suit against Gawker, which forced Gawker to declare bankruptcy in 2016. This lawsuit will be one to watch as this could expose just how corrupt the media actually is. We'll follow the developments closely, so stay tuned. And good luck to Sarah Palin in her fight against dishonest media. Source: The Hill. We would be happy to hear your thoughts and predictions. Huge scandal erupts on top Democrat, even her fellow liberals are asking for her resignation. It is highly possible to appear that the whole conspired Russian interference with Trump's campaign is nothing more but an instance of the Democrats having an attempt to create a scandal before their own broke on the news. And apparently, a lot of other Democrats will be facing the bad sort of publicity in the near future. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congresswoman and ex-DNC chair, is in the middle of a scandal which may hurt a lot of Democrats as well as her. One of her IT staffers was earlier arrested while trying to leave the States and is suspected of committing bank fraud. He, with the help of his family, worked for other Democrat legislators who are also in danger of getting caught in this web. Also, the IT staffer might get in way bigger troubles than being charged for bank fraud. Debbie went through a lot recently. First, she lost her position in the DNC, and now, Republicans and which is more, even a fellow Democrat is asking her to resign. With the arrest of her longtime information technology staffer this week as he tried to leave the country, U.S. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, D. Weston, is drawing fire from the left and the right. Tim Canova, the liberal law professor who challenged Wasserman Schultz in a 2016 Democratic primary and has filed to run against her again in 2018, noted the arrest of Imran Awan in a fundraising letter sent Tuesday night. He accused Wasserman Schultz, who kept Awan on her payroll after he was barred from the House computer system in February, of trying to obstruct the investigation of Awan and others. "I have also been calling on Wasserman Schultz to resign from her House seat, and I have pointed out the obvious, that as long as she's in public life, the Democratic Party will flounder and the people of South Florida will be ill-served in Congress," Canova wrote in the fundraising pitch. "It's obvious that there is far more going on here than one congresswoman's IT aide playing it fast and loose with some bank transactions. Parties are trying desperately to hide something." Smashed hard drives were seized from this IT staffer's residence by the FBI, and she has been desperate to keep a personal laptop out of the hands of law enforcement personnel. She would not be taking such actions that are sure to bring public scrutiny on her if she didn't have some very serious materials to hide. After resigning in disgrace from the DNC, the investigation into Wasserman Schultz's former IT aide has further tarnished her reputation. Despite her efforts to revive her image by focusing on Russia's involvement in the 2016 election, the former DNC chair is still seen as a corrupt, out-of-touch politician who represents the worst of the Democratic Party. Her continued presence in Democratic leadership impedes the party's reform and ensures that voters' lack of trust for Democrats, which stemmed from her leadership at the DNC, remains. That's a fine summation of Debbie's situation and problems. The degree to which these problems become the problems of other Democrats as well as the Democratic Party itself, is the degree to which party leadership will work to throw her under the bus. She just didn't realize that she was not as important to the party as Hillary. Source: Palm Beach Post, Observer. We would be happy to hear your thoughts and predictions.